Why is it important for people to have a personal brand?
Build the brand so that now you can really start picking and choosing the things that you want to get involved with. Once I was able to rise above and say, okay, I've got books, I've got content, I've got podcasts, I'm putting all kinds of stuff out. Now people started coming to me and I had the opportunity to pick and choose the biggest winners. Or you build your brand, you wake up every morning, you've got dozens of deals coming to you. You now are choosing the best one instead of having to really sell somebody and getting you involved.
What I'm most excited about to bring to you in this episode of Be Your Brand, and the very first episode with Kevin Harrington, who is the expert, the utmost expert to me when it comes to building personal brands. He wrote a book called Key Person of Influence, and we get to talk about that and more. So some of the topics that we covered here that are really, really important is building a personal brand. And he's the expert, one of the experts in this category. And he talks about how it can amplify your business and create business success by creating a ton of opportunities for you. And then also he talks about how Richard Branson shared with him the importance of personal branding. So we'll get into that too. Then we also talk about how branding efforts can create more opportunities for you and how it opened the door for him getting onto Shark Tank, the very first shark, I believe, if not one of the first sharks to make an appearance and to be a part of that show. And then we talk about his 5 steps plus the 2 bonuses of the framework behind being a key person of influence, aka a personal brand. So if you want to go through those really quickly, we'll cover it here just so you don't have to fast forward through this episode. But it's learn how to pitch yourself effectively is the first one. Raise your profile through content and speaking or a podcast. Publish a book or other types of content. Your podcast can do that easily. Productize your expertise. Build the right team around you. And secure capital, meaning make sure you have money. It's hard to start a business without money. And then the last bonus, that was a bonus, and the last one was take action and execute on the plan. So I'm really excited about bringing this conversation to you with Kevin Harrington from Shark Tank. Before we get into it, this show exists to inspire mission-driven entrepreneurs and help you develop your brands so that you can deliver your messages with clarity and with purpose. Now let's get into the show. Those who don't know, Kevin is the inventor of the infomercial. One of the original sharks on the hit show Shark Tank, has generated over $5 billion, $5 billion with a B, in sales, and he's authored many, many books. One of my personal favorites is Key Person of Influence, the 5-step method to becoming one of the most highly valued people and highly paid people in your industry. So again, thanks for being on the show, brother. I'm so excited to get in and share with the community here. So the first question is, why is it important for people to have a personal brand?
Eric, that's a great question. And I'm going to go back to me as an entrepreneur. My focus as an entrepreneur was to build a business and make money, right? And so I would do that and I had success, but I was continually kind of starting over each time I had to go start a new business, build it, sell it, partner, whatever. But once I figured out that if I built my brand, that now the business that I've got is getting branding power from my brand. But then, hey, wait a minute, it's that brand. Oh, as it's built this brand, it's got more power, but now it's leveraging against other opportunities and other brand opportunities for me. So once I figured out, build the brand so that now you can really start picking and choosing the things that you want to get involved with. And that's how it worked for me, is that before I had a brand, I had to find things, put them together, hustle them, pitch it, get involved, do everything. But once I was able to rise above and say, okay, I've got books, I've got content, I've got podcasts, I'm putting all kinds of stuff out. Now people started coming to me, and I had the opportunity to pick and choose the biggest winners. And so if you wake up every morning and you have to go find your money making deal, you may find one or two things and think, okay, I got to focus on one of these that I just found. Or you build your brand, you wake up every morning, you've got dozens of deals coming to you. You now are choosing the best one instead of having to really sell somebody and getting you involved. So it's a whole different world and brings a lot of power to the table.
That was really important. What Kevin shared there talks about how he was building businesses really just to make money and to grow a successful company. But what he found out later is every time he started a new company, he had to start from scratch. There was no reputation, there was no legacy. So then when he got that advice from Richard Branson, he basically says that building a personal brand, meaning his online reputation or his reputation, helped it and made it so much easier to start building another business because then now he was leveraging what he had done in the past. So let's get back into it. Yeah, absolutely. What I loved what you have done in your early career, especially because I've been following for a long time, creating the infomercial, working with Home Shopping Network and building all these brands and helping all these gigantic companies get even bigger, even being one of the original sharks on Shark Tank, all massive brands, right? That the household names, all household names. But then what was some of the first steps on how you wanted to create the Kevin Harrington brand apart from those, and like what was the first building blocks that you could share?
So I think the first step, because it was funny, I had been doing infomercials for dozens of years. We had billions of dollars in sales. We'd made a lot of money, and I was sitting there thinking, hey, I'm doing okay. I feel pretty good about what I've done. And I'm hanging out with Richard Branson down at Necker Island with some other entrepreneurs. And Richard and I get talking, and because I wanted some one-on-one time with him to get some good advice. And Richard says, Kevin, he said, I know who you are. He says, I did a little research that as seen on TV, you own the brand, you own asseenontv.com. And he says, that's great. He says, but you know what? He says, if I hadn't done research, I had no idea who you were. And so I said, well, what are you saying? He says, you need to build your brand, Kevin. You're an entrepreneur. You've had great success. You've worked with Jack LaLanne and George Foreman and Tony Little and actually Kim Kardashian at that point too. So he's like, why does nobody know who you are? And so this was me getting some great advice from an unbelievable entrepreneur. And I tell people, reach out and get some mentors and some good advice. But bottom line is, I said, so where do I start, Richard? And he said, well, you got to start creating content. Nobody knows who you are. Get a content out there, books, podcasts, blogs, press releases, joint ventures, start speaking at events, and you need to raise that profile. And so these are the things that I started doing. And the first step was I wrote a book. And my first book, I got on talk shows and radio talk shows, and that led to TV shows, and that led to trade shows, and that led to Mark Burnett finding me, because prior to all of this, that Mark Burnett never knew who I was. But once I was raising my profile in a multimedia fashion, I was now, in quite a few places that people like Mark Burnett who were looking for the shark. Little did I know, somebody like Mark was looking for a shark for Shark Tank. Sent people out. They kept saying, this Kevin Harrington guy, hey, you got to meet him, Mark. I don't know if he's good for Shark Tank, but at least he's out there. You got to meet him. So it got me the meeting. And then, of course, from there, I closed the deal with Mark Burnett to become the first and the original shark. So it's you have to do it. And you just never know what amazing things can happen as you focus on building your brand.
Man, this is fire. This is fire, Kevin. I'm so excited you're here and we're talking about this because this is my jam. I love this stuff. So you mentioned Richard Branson as a brand, right? People know him for Virgin. They know him for all these many brands, and he has built a personal brand that we can all admire as well. Anyone else outside of Richard that you were kind of looking up to, or even till now, you're like, man, they got a killer personal brand?
Well, I can go back to the old days of people like I like to talk about mentors in my life, and I mentioned Richard Branson. Another mentor was Zig Ziglar. When Zig Ziglar passed away, and Zig had been mentoring me and another friend, Mark Tim, and Mark and I wrote a book when Zig passed away called Mentor to Millions. But when Zig passed away, he had not been a social media type of guy because it was an old Zig passed away 10 years ago, and 10 years ago Facebook and all the things that we see today weren't as powerful, right? So what happened though, the family said, let's put a Facebook page together for people to leave a tribute. 5 million people are now on the Zig Ziglar Facebook page. So, I mean, here's a deceased Zig Ziglar utilizing his family, has the assets of Zig, and they've created amazing assets. I mean, Marilyn Monroe, she died years ago. The gentleman named Jamie Salter from Authentic Brands, he bought the assets of the Marilyn Monroe estate. And when he bought those assets of the Marilyn Monroe estate, he then put them into major distribution. He had 1 million followers, and he built it to 100 million followers. And so how do you do this for somebody that's deceased? Well, guess what? It's a lot easier if you're alive, okay? Because you can put current videos, today's stuff, talk about the current events, right? So anyway, there's a whole step-by-step process. It involves getting followers and creating content, writing books, doing podcasts, getting on radio shows. We still use old media, by the way. There's no issue with using radio and TV. We're doing radio and TV campaigns with a lot of the stuff that we do.
So good. So many great points there. This is really important. I need you to listen to what he says here. He drops some gold and shares the 5-step process to building a personal brand. Let's get back into it.
There's a 5-step system, and actually I've added, since the book came out, 2 more steps. But the bottom line is, the concept, and here's the book, How to Become a Key Person of Influence, right? And this became a bestseller. It was great because there's so many entrepreneurs that start a business. They like what they're doing, but they just don't have the system and the techniques and let me just walk through them. First of all, you need to learn how to pitch who you are, what you are, and because people say, well, hey, if I got a great business, won't somebody understand it? No, I can give you 2 people to come on Shark Tank, and they can both pitch the exact same thing. One guy can get money on the exact same opportunity, requesting the same thing as the other guy, but he does a better pitch. So learn how to pitch, and there's a system to pitching. And we don't have a lot of time here today, but if learning to pitch is one thing, there's a 3-step system: tease, please, and seize. So that's step 1, pitching, tease, please, and seize. Step 2, raising your profile and becoming, this is now, how do you raise your profile? You've got to get out there. You got to create content. You're writing books. You're doing this. You're speaking on stages, right? Then you need to publish. And this is also part of a profile raising situation. When you publish a book, you're creating content. People are reading it. They're sending it to their friends. A book. I created, this became a bestseller also, but I had another book called Mentor to Millions. That this book, when we did 185 podcasts and took this to number 2 on the Wall Street Journal bestseller list. Okay. So you're pitching, you're raising your profile, you're publishing. You've got to learn how to productize yourself. If you're a doctor, you do service and you get paid for the hours that you work. But how do you productize that business? Maybe there's things that you could do where people could join programs and continuity and subscriptions and have other products, etc. So productizing is an important step, and then obviously I say these. I've added a few things here.
Yeah.
You need to create nobody can do it all themselves. Okay, so you need the right team around you, which is very important. Is having that right team around you, And then also that team should be able to create amazing partnerships. And this is another step. So all of these, I think I've got 5 or 6 that I've mentioned already, but creating partnerships is very powerful because you can't, again, do it all yourself. The last thing I want to say that's important in all of this is we said there's all these things you can do, but you have to do them. Okay. You must act now. And people come to me, they say, "Oh, Kevin, you launched this product. I had that idea 5 years ago." And I say, are you trying to impress me? Or are you telling me how stupid you are because you beat somebody to the table 5 years ago and did nothing about it? And guess what? Now the guy is making millions on your idea. So I hope you're not happy. I hope you learn you must act now. And so that's really the last step of my system is get out there and do it.
I love it. I love it. You said you added 2, and I feel like I'm getting inside information here because I'm very familiar with the 5. Are you saying the last 2 are find the right team and then also action? Are those the 2?
Find the right team, action, and somewhere in there, it could be assumed on something, but you've got to have capital. So, if you do all of that, but you don't have 5 cents in the bank, you're not going to be able to do anything. So make sure that you figured out a way to, whether you've got a rich uncle that's loaning you some money or a crowdfunding campaign or a PPM for a private placement, whatever it might be, you need to have some plan to raise some capital.
Love it. Oh, so good. So good. Yeah. All right, brother, we're going to wind down here and get you back to your life and your business. So what is your mission and purpose currently? What are you focused on? And the last thing was, in one word, Kevin, how do you help people?
Okay, let me think about all that. But my mission, I've been doing this 40 plus years. I had my 65th birthday last year, so I'm going to be 66 in a few weeks.
Oh, congrats!
I said, you know what? I want to slow down a little bit. I said, I'm only looking. I'm going to work about half time, only 40 hours a week, right? So actually, I'm trying to play more golf, slow down, enjoy myself a little. But I have a family business. I got 2 kids in the business. My son, he's involved in everything I do, Brian Harrington. So I'm kind of handing the baton over, but I still here we are doing a podcast. I love this because we're connecting with some new folks, but some new opportunities may be coming in. But the bottom line is that I've done well. If I hit the next Grand Slam, it's not going to change my lifestyle anyway. So I'm just looking to continue to do some deals, but I don't have the aggressiveness and the nature that I have to be in on everything. But my son is now the future for me. So kind of building that legacy for he and I have another son too that's a lot younger, but they're both taking over in my footsteps. So that's what I'm looking for. And just keep plugging along, Eric. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I appreciate that, brother, so much. And I'm glad to hear that Brian is getting the baton and carrying the legacy forward because we need more Harrington in the world.
Thank you, Eric. Thank you.
Yeah, brother.
It's good talking to you.
Yeah, thanks so much for sharing and thanks so much for being here. I appreciate you very much.
All right. Take care. See you soon, buddy.
I hope that you enjoyed that episode with Kevin Harrington. It was chock full of information on how you can build your personal brand in your business. If you found it valuable and you thought that it was good enough to pass along or to share with someone, that's all I ask. There's no plugs here other than to like and subscribe to this channel. I do appreciate you for checking in and for watching it up until this point. Again, please subscribe to this show and this channel. My name's Eric Cabral, and I hope that I added value in your life today. I'll see you at the next one.